Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Tom Stewart here. I'm with Aja Holiday, and this is a MaidCentral presentation. We're going to be sharing with you some really exciting news, or more details about some exciting news we announced about a month ago. Do you know what that is, Aja?
I have some ideas, but just a few. I think it might have something to do with the new version of MaidCentral.
MaidCentral Pulse. You like the name?
I love the name. I think it's so cool how we ended up on that one. I really like it.
Yeah, it's the internal, code name, but it's starting to stick. So we'll probably, stick with this. So about a month ago, we did I did a kind of a quick overview of what we've been working on. We've been working on a new version of MaidCentral called MaidCentral Pulse, and it's going to be software that's going to be designed for an AI first work environment. And at that time, I said that we would be doing a number of presentations after that, getting into more details about what Pulse is. And this is our first of 4 presentations that we're going to be doing here over the next 4 weeks. That's going to be explaining what Pulse is and why it's important. And if you're running a professionally managed house cleaning business, why you would want to use Pulse in your business. So, why are we even talking about Pulse? Well, there's a lot of change happening, and change has been happening in the industry. I've been doing this for, gee whiz, 30 years, and a lot of things have changed over the last 30 years. One of them is big companies are getting a lot bigger. If you roll the clock back 20 some odd years ago, you could count on one hand the number of cleaning companies that were doing over $1 million a year. Now about half the companies that are using MaidCentral are doing over $1 million a year. Is that right, Aja?
Yeah. Well over 50%. I think we're in the 55, 60 range actually.
Over 1 million, and a meaningful number of them are over 2, and some, a surprising number over 5 or more, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
those were like white whales. They're becoming a little more common.
so big companies are getting bigger, and professional management is another thing that is changing, will continue to change in the future. When we get together at live events, back in the early 2000s, the discussions were, where do you buy your rags, or who makes the best vacuum cleaner? The discussion has changed quite a bit. We just wrapped up a strategic leadership summit here in Charleston a couple of weeks ago, and it was professional management, it was strategy, it was forward thinking, and nobody was talking about rags and vacuum cleaners.
Yeah. Big conversations happening in the hallways, in the bathroom waiting line. Everybody was having really deep conversations about the future, about where we're kind of going. I thought it was great. Such a good event.
Technology obviously is changing. Artificial intelligence is a huge part of that. We are able to do things in our businesses now that we couldn't have dreamed of 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Doesn't seem that long that we were printing out pieces of paper every day and poking holes in it and putting it in 3-ring binders and giving it to people, and that was their work instructions for the day. Was
And
that
just
before
hope
you?
nothing changes.
Yeah. And then somebody calls out, and next thing you know, you've got like a half a dozen notebooks in front of you that you're opening up and moving pieces of paper around.
Yeah.
Did you ever have to do that, Aja?
I came in right as we switched to a more technological solution. So we had just moved our work orders to technology, but we were still doing timesheets on paper when I was cleaning. So I was still writing down the time I got to every house and when I left and what my 8 weeks ago. Yeah,
Brandon, we need to talk. We need to fix that. This is 2025. No need for that now.
Too funny. But yeah, same thing. Did paper for a long time. And actually I don't think we fully got rid of that for well after it was probably time. So it's easy to fall into that.
And what we're able to do today is on the verge of mind blowing, and what that's going to look like 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now. It's going to be crazy, and at the heart of it. That's a lot of what MaidCentral Pulse is about, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more. And wrapped around all of that is just the realization that change is happening faster than it ever did, and from an artificial intelligence standpoint, week after week, there's new announcements and new features and new functionality and capabilities are coming out that it's hard to get your mind wrapped around. So Pulse is, in large part, is about taking advantage of what's happening in technology and how quickly it's changing, and getting ourselves in a position where we have a management platform for the house cleaning industry that allows us to be competitive in this new world that we're quickly moving into. So what is Pulse? Pulse is the next evolution of software for the house cleaning industry, for house cleaning services. AI is transforming the industry. Pulse is going to enable house cleaning businesses to leverage these changes. It's going to allow us to get better, provide better service, create better jobs, create better businesses. So what does all that mean? We talk about our product roadmap when we do a lot of presentations for MaidCentral. And we explain that we've been building MaidCentral for a long time with the vision that it starts with the way old software started and where we started. You have to have data. And after you have data, you need to be able to generate reports. And MaidCentral does a really good job of generating reports. How many reports does MaidCentral have, Aja?
In the like 35, 40 range, I think.
A bunch.
A lot.
I think we're recognized for being a leader in presenting useful information to our partners, to the companies that use MaidCentral. The next step of that, though, is who wants to be going through stacks and stacks of reports? We just want to be able to see the stuff that we need to know that's relevant. We call that business intelligence, or BI, in the MaidCentral world, and a lot of it's just identifying exceptions. I don't need to see detailed information about every job, but just the jobs that maybe took longer than they were supposed to, or we had a complaint associated with it, some type of exception. So we do quite a bit of exception reporting. But the next step would be to make recommendations off of, the exceptions and just the data as a whole. We do that now. Rate adjustments is an example of that. And there are several other features that we have in MaidCentral that will make recommendations to you as to, this is going on, you might want to consider to do something. Can you think of any others, Aja? This isn't fair. I'm hitting with all kinds of questions.
You really put me on the spot.
People think that we prepare and practice. No. That's no fun.
I think that's the biggest one. There's definitely some maybe some time things around normalized time with like the dispatch board as well. But I think rate adjustments is the clearest one, where we're making a recommendation based off of your parameters, and you're able to kind of follow through with that or make changes from that adjustment as well, or that recommendation.
And the I&J report, I think, does some things for you. If you've got some non-conforming issues on the payment side, it makes suggestions in terms of you want me to help you out, so you can get an invoice out there, get paid, put money in the bank. Ultimately, though, we're moving to a place where it is done for you. MaidCentral just does it automatically, and that's really where Pulse starts taking over. Don't want to set the expectations too high. I mean, you're still going to have to run your business and do things in your business, but we're getting closer to a world where more things can be done for you, and the things that you have to do It's just going to be simpler, easier, quicker, fewer steps, fewer clicks, more intuitive, faster, easier. And Pulse represents that. That's what Pulse will be doing for you when we release Pulse in the wild, which it's going to be Q1 of next year. That's the plan. And right now, everything's falling in place where we're feeling pretty good about that. Pulse is also the platform, though. The way that we're building it, the way it's being constructed, it will be the bridge that will allow you to get to the done for you world. You know, we're familiar with artificial intelligence. We're familiar with the large language models where we can enter a prompt and it'll give you information. It's getting really good at getting context and inference and predicting what you want to do with that. But the next step is building the apps off of that, where apps are actually doing things for you. MaidCentral is the environment in which we will be able to do that. It's very exciting. So what's new, Aja? What's new in MaidCentral Pulse?
Yeah, so there's a lot that's going to be new, but I think we really want to hit some of the major things on each one of these previews that people can expect from Pulse. So the first thing is going to be our user interface. I think that's going to be the most obvious change to anybody who's currently using MaidCentral for sure. More intuitive, and our big goal being that there's no more than 3 clicks for typical day-to-day operational tasks, and even trying to keep that into the settings realm as much as possible, trying to keep things closer to your fingertips so you're making less activities to get the same results, or even better results. Customization is a big goal for MaidCentral Pulse as well, being more applicable to different business models. So not just residential, which is our main kind of focus right now, but adding in some features and tools for commercial work as well. Employee versus contractor models, large versus small businesses, being able to choose what features you want to use in MaidCentral Pulse and which ones maybe you're not ready for. That's kind of a big change in Pulse compared to our current version of MaidCentral. And then finally, a mobile experience. Well, maybe not finally. We've got 2 more after this, two big ones. But the mobile experience as well is very different. First being, it's a mobile first design. We are thinking about doing all of the operations that you can do on the MaidCentral desktop version on mobile as well. So even for office users, which is a big change for us, most of MaidCentral currently was built desktop first. And definitely if you're still out in the field trying to make changes quickly on your schedule on your phone, that's a little more difficult to do now. And so we're taking that in mind and making those tasks much easier to do on a phone out in the field and on the go. So those are kind of the big 3 ones. And then we've also got 2 really great features as well. So the big one kind of relating to what Tom was talking about is AI. And so we'll be putting in our own AI, which is going to be MaidSense AI. Some of the tasks that this will be able to help with, kind of that done for you, helping fill schedule gaps, offer alternatives, and flag risks. So some of the business intelligence, giving some recommendations. And then some of these things might even be a button that says, go ahead and do it. Yeah, have at it. And then something that you'll actually be able to see in your current version of MaidCentral that will be coming out separately from Pulse is being able to answer business questions with your data. So directly in MaidCentral, being able to kind of pull the, I'm not going to say her name because I have 2 in the room and they will start talking to me, but being able to say a name, what's the weather like today? Well, you can kind of go with MaidSense. What's my business like today? And get some of that information, dig into it, and have it pulled directly from where your business is being operated and get some recommendations and get to those insights and actions faster. I think that's probably going to be one of the coolest, biggest changes with Pulse is we've already been doing reporting. That's what we're really known for, is our reporting. And as you get bigger, the reporting gets bigger and it gets a little bit harder to find, where are my outliers? Where are my issues? And having something like MaidSense AI directly on the page being like, all right, I want to know about my attendance. I want to know about my quality. I want to know about my revenue. I want to know about all of these things, and being able to pull your data directly in, I think is going to help people get to those insights so much faster and make decisions, better decisions based on your data.
And as AI evolves, our thinking is going to evolve to the point where we're not even going to have the patience to look stuff up. We don't want to search for an answer. We just want the answer. And the made sense part of what we're doing in Pulse is designed in part to do that. There's more to it. It'll be making recommendations and helping us in a lot of ways. But one of the big things, and we demoed that a couple of weeks ago when we did the strategy summit, and it was kind of cool. And we got a lot of good feedback on that. And the plan is to roll the first iterations of MaidSense out in our current version of MaidCentral before the end of this year.
Yeah, it's looking great. It's fun to see on the beta testing too. So I'm really excited for more of you guys to be able to use this. And then kind of the final really big feature to be represented in Pulse, the release of Pulse, is our automations. This is unlike anything we've done in MaidCentral or anything I've seen really in a...
We've always had automations, right?
Yeah, we've always had an element of automations for sure. Scorecards, being able to send, lead capture stuff, but, everybody wants more.
Campaigns.
Yeah, everyone wants more, and we're giving it. We're giving more. This will be actually the final thing that we kind of present on the preview. So get really excited to see some of that in a few weeks. But essentially, it's just expanded automations for your customers, your leads, and your team. So the sky is almost the limit with what we already have out. And I can imagine that as we get more into it, things will even become clearer on other options that we can give as far as triggers. And I think the biggest thing here is everything can be webhook enabled. I think that's one I'm comfortable sharing now and is exciting to share later on too. But that webhook enable feature is going to mean that, if you do want to try and take something further in another platform, that's the only thing that they do, you can, but almost all of it is going to be capable of doing within MaidCentral. We were trying to think of situations where someone absolutely would want to use a webhook, and we couldn't think of one. We sat there for like 5 minutes being like, maybe this, oh no, that would be possible too. So sky's the limit here, it feels like.
We'll have to keep working on that. I'm sure we'll come up with something.
We will. So as we mentioned, we're going to do 3 more of these previews, so 4 in total. Today's preview is going to focus on scheduling. Next week, we'll be looking into operations and sales on the 15th. And then on the 22nd, we'll be looking deeper into reporting, communications, and the MaidSense AI itself. And then finally, we're going to look at all things automations. The possibilities are endless there. So we're going to give its own time to shine in those automations because we're really excited about that.
You want to jump in and we can poke around a little bit and see what MaidCentral Pulse looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, here it is. For those of you who haven't seen it before, your first look at MaidCentral Pulse. I think right off the bat, we can see that this looks very different than current version of MaidCentral in terms of menu items off to the side, being able to access things a lot quicker. We don't have those nested menus anymore. So just kind of an overview of the user interface updates. Very different here than what we currently have. I am going to focus on our scheduling type things today. This is all in progress. So if we run into something that's unexpected, that's all right. This isn't coming out tomorrow. So we expect some of those things. But for most of the things that I'm showing today, they should be good to go. But even just in general, you can see a much more updated, just an updated user interface here in comparison, and just a little bit easier to access things. So I'm currently on our timeline view. We've got some summary boxes up at the top. These will probably change over time, but I think our goal is being that we are still able to see some top level information on our schedule views about our scheduling activities essentially. And then we've got our 4 different schedule types. You'll notice here that the master schedule is on the same view as our regular schedule. It's not in another place. And I'll show some really cool things about that. So first off, we've got our timeline view, we've got our calendar view, master schedule, and our route view. On the timeline view, this is very similar to kind of our current timeline view, maybe a little bit more updated, of course, but we've got drag and drop capability here. And you'll see as I start dragging and dropping, I get green and red boxes. So green boxes mean good to go. We can plug this in any one of those green boxes, but in red boxes, it means that we're going to get a conflict here. And that's probably one of the biggest differences about MaidCentral Pulse as well, is some of our proactive flags versus reactive flags. So before you actually make a change, getting information about why that change might not be a good decision, and giving you all of that information to then decide if you still want to make that change or if you want to go with a different recommendation. So let's try that. If I'm going to put this here, this is actually flagging because this job, if I put it in any of these times, is going to overlap Michael Chen's job at 10 o'clock. So if I plug that in there, it's going to bring this up, show that I've got a conflict. I can expand down here and show what that conflict is. We've got a time overlap. And then it's giving me a couple of suggestions. Optimal time slot based off of no conflicts, optimal routing, and team availability. We've got an alternative team assignment. So letting us know that, hey, there's another team that has that spot. Things to optimize the recurring schedule and maybe even a better team for the recurring schedule. And we've got kind of a percentage here of, we're taking in all the kind of relevant information, preferences, things like that, and seeing how that fits into the current schedule, and kind of giving us, what's the word I'm looking for? A vote of confidence percentage on that change. So you can either pick one of these solutions and apply that AI solution or schedule anyway. We're never going to force you to make, one of our recommended choices. We're still giving you the opportunity to do what you wanted to do in the first place. We're going to offer you some suggestions for alternatives if something seems out of line. So I'm going to go ahead and apply that AI solution. So it put it at the same time that I tried to schedule it at, just on a different team, that it's not going to overlap with another job.
So this is what Pulse will look like when we release the beginning of next year. But it doesn't take a lot of imagination to think how ads or MaidCentral rolls in over top of that, because once we kind of figure out what your preferences are for resolving challenges like that, if you want us to stop asking you, we'll stop asking you, and we will just be doing it for you. Now, that's not going to be in, in phase one, but this is being built in a way, that's where we're going. And the idea is that for a lot of these problems, once you train it and it understands how you want to adjudicate certain problems, you can just let it do it for you. And it's funny because, that was the vision many years ago with that slide that we showed, like the 5 levels and done for you being the last one. How old is that, Aja?
As long as I've been at MaidCentral, so 3.5 years, 4 years almost.
It was around before then.
Yeah.
And we just had to wait for the technology to catch up, and we're almost there.
Yeah, it's really cool to see. I think seeing that this is what we're doing without any additional, parameters being put in around your business and your goals, still being able to offer alternatives, just knowing that the next step is so close. And the next step is the goal, essentially. That's crazy. So one of the other kind of big changes here on the timeline view is this also communicates with your master schedule. So if I try to move a recurring job that already has a job in that spot on a recurring basis, it'll throw a flag as well. So these, you might see, it's not showing any of them right now. Our test data changes a little bit, but if I had another job that maybe goes in this spot, but isn't on that day currently, it'll still show the conflict flag, letting you know that, hey, somebody is in that spot on a permanent basis. feel free to move it there today, but we might have a better suggestion for a permanent reschedule of that frequency. Next view is our calendar view. I've only got a couple of days worth of, or a day's worth of test data in here right now, but you'd be able to see all of your jobs here. This is something that, especially for, and all of these can be filtered too. So I could filter by team here. I could filter by types of work, service sets. Let me leave that up. I've kind of flashed it quickly. Zones, frequencies. So maybe I'm trying to look for just one technician's monthly schedule. I can pull that up here. Or if you want to look at your whole schedule, if you have, you know, a workload that allows you to kind of see it all in a monthly view, this can be really helpful in finding openings too. I'm so excited for this because if you know anything about the master schedule and me, I love the master schedule. I'm a big fan of everything that it does, but we've got a massive upgrade here. First thing, which I think is, if I could open up a window and hear some people that are watching. This is drag and drop, and I think I'd be able to hear them yell in joy that the master schedule is drag and drop. Same ideas here. If something is flagged, it will kind of let you know. So this one here, if I give it a little hover, I can see that there's a preference issue on this one. So our master schedule is not only drag and drop, making things a lot easier to make changes, but the preferences are highlighted here as well, that if something is breaking preference, whether it's a time or team preference, it's going to give you that flag right away and let you know that this is not a good permanent spot for this particular job.
Functionality that you currently only see on the job scheduler.
Yeah, or have to dig into just a little bit, spend a little more time on to make sure that you're making the right choices. So this one was letting us know that they want to be scheduled around 10. And it's scheduled at 8 right now. So if I move that down to the 10 bar, oh, maybe it wants to be a little bit later. Oh, I've got a conflict. Lovely. I'm going to schedule anyways.
But the same thing, it was giving you alternatives, right?
Yes. Yeah, so let's do the optimized recurring schedule, and I'm just going to see.
Isn't that
no, I didn't. Oops, I didn't do the right one. Apply AI solution. Interesting. We've got some things to work on there, but I still think the purpose is, and our goal here is right where we want it to be. As far as drag and drop, having those flags directly on the page, still being able to offer solutions the same way that we would on the regular job schedule, and give you some alternatives to make better scheduling decisions. Okay. And then we'll see if this is up and running. This will be a route view similar to our schedule efficiency map currently. We've got a couple of things still working on trying to get this API to work continuously. But I do want to show just a little bit here. These would be your routes for each team, and each team will show the jobs on the day. And this is also drag and drop. So if you've got a job on Team Alpha that you want to move to Team Bravo, you don't have to go back to the timeline view and make that change. You can drag that job from Team Alpha down to Team Bravo and see how that changes their routing on the map. Wish I could show it to you in action. We've been having a couple of issues with this over the last couple of days. So I expected this, but I still want to let you know kind of what the plan is here.
So we have a question. Sarah wants to know if we can see this video later. And the answer is yeah. One of the places we're streaming to is the MaidCentral YouTube channel. So you can go there and see it whenever you want. If you haven't subscribed to that, please do.
Give us a sub,
Yeah.
A like, all of those things. Really living out my influencer dream here. And then just for kind of a quick one here, let me just double check on my list. Okay, so those are the main ones. We do also under technicians, we've got our team schedules here as well. So you can create teams, assign members to teams here. I'll show more of this later, but that team assignment can be done really quickly and easily directly from kind of our overall team view. And then you can also make those changes on the team directly here, the same way that we can do currently, but I think it's a little prettier. So we'll take pretty sometimes too. And then the last thing I wanted to show was, our kind of mobile view.
Jackson has a question here. As said earlier, this is planned for release Q1 of 2026, so beginning of next year.
Cool. Well, ignore all the dev stuff here over to the right, but this is just kind of a look at what the team might what the job schedule might look like on mobile. Still being able to open jobs, make changes here, being able to see the times that somebody has skipped. I actually didn't pull this up on the big view, so this works. But seeing, rescheduled times, time skipped, times locked out directly from making scheduling changes. So, hey, if somebody skipped their clean 6 times, we might want to let them know about our skip policy. It kind of just gives you a little heads up with that information right in your face, right where you're kind of making those decisions. But I think this is significantly easier to make changes directly from your phone as well. And I'll actually show that view because this is fairly new even to me. They updated this in the last few days as well, but this is our kind of pop-up, replacement for that modal that comes up now currently. Everything's kind of sliding out from the side. We can see all of our same summary information here. We can add and change notes, upload and view photos. See the timesheet history here directly from the job schedule. View the invoice before it gets created, what the invoice is going to be looking like, and then making those scheduling changes here as well. So all directly from the job schedule, or anytime that you open up this job, you can view all of those things about the job, which is fantastic. I mean, definitely a lot more. I'm seeing some of these tabs for the first time with you all. They were making these changes just yesterday, so I'm really excited to see what we came up with. But these look great, actually. Seeing a lot of questions coming in, so let me read down the list really quick.
You wanna? Let's see here.
Yes, there is all the likelihood of this. Our goal is actually to be a little bit more agnostic in terms of third-party solutions and integrations. So our ultimate goal, and I think we're working towards that, is being able to do invoicing directly in MaidCentral. And if you want to connect to something like QBO or another bookkeeping software, you can. But it will not be a requirement moving forward with Pulse in the way that we want to kind of do this. So yes, there is not only a chance, but a very high likelihood that you will not be forced to use QuickBooks Online with this update. So solo teams can be assigned Angie at 8:30 and Tom at 10:30 after his first home with more ease with Pulse. Currently, right now we can't. We are talking about this. I took a couple of screenshots actually from our Facebook group just this week to share with the team to see if we can kind of keep that in the back of our minds. Right now, this is something that's a little more determined by our database structure, which is not changing with Pulse, but Pulse does give us some opportunities to potentially make some of those changes in the future. So with the first release of Pulse, I wouldn't expect to see any changes on scheduling capabilities in terms of having more than one start time on a job, but I wouldn't put that out of the realm of possibility in the future with this change or with this updated version. And I'm grabbing all the notes that I can about it so that we can keep that in the back of our mind to whenever that opportunity arises, we can kind of snatch it and make that possible. Hi, Laura. Thank you. We're very excited as well.
Yeah, thanks, Laura. We are very excited and working hard to get to the finish line here.
Yeah. What office and technician training will roll out with this? We're still working on what that's going to look like. Our goal, we've talked about a couple of different ways. I think top level, one, we want this to be our desires for this to be so much more intuitive out of the box than our current version is. Our current version does require a decent amount of training to really get all the bits and pieces. And some of that we think will just be a lot easier to understand from the get-go. But we also are a company that prides education and training and letting people know what the best way is to do something. And so we definitely will have some trainings. Those might be live streams like this. It might be, different onboarding courses. We are also wanting to build a wizard in terms of kind of a setup wizard to poke around with you when you first log in. So not exactly sure what that's going to look like, but there will be training available.
And we're brainstorming what MCA Live will look like in 2026. And we will be doing some live events like that as well. And we know they'll be different. So it will certainly take what we're doing here into consideration. The pricing, Beth, is still being evaluated. Most likely, the pricing model will be very similar to what we currently have. There's some additional things that we're doing with the AI part of this, which is a different kind of cost structure that we might have to make some tweaks. But the basic pricing will most likely be very similar to what we currently have.
Yeah. Cool. I think that's everything that I wanted to share as far as today goes on scheduling. I'm going to give it to everybody in kind of a bite-sized pieces here. But those are some really great questions. And if you guys have any more, let us know. Otherwise, we'll probably be wrapping up here in just a little bit.
Okay. Do we have anything else that we want to look at today?
Nope.
No.
I've got strict instructions, so I'm going to keep to the things that I'm okay on.
Yeah, I mean, the dev team kind of gets a bit nervous when we do stuff like this, but if they had their way, we wouldn't say anything until we had something completely ready to go in production. But that's not fair to the industry and our partners. Y'all need to know what we're doing, and that's what we're everything to do here.
And I think it's just so cool to see what we're able to come up with. So even each week, this looks so different in such a good way. Like just everything that is changing in such a positive way. So very excited for this.
So I know a lot of y'all here are currently MaidCentral partners. So just hang tight. We're going to be releasing some of the MaidSense part of this later in the quarter. And what we're seeing here with Pulse, things keep going the way they're going. We'll have something ready where we can start sharing and rolling out Q1 of next year. If you're not a MaidCentral partner and want to know more, we encourage you to go to our website, just maidcentral.com, and ask for a demo. We'll be glad to show you MaidCentral in its current form. And if you like what you're seeing here in Pulse and want to be in a position to take advantage of this when it comes out in production early next year, now's the time to really be looking at MaidCentral, because we can onboard you now, get all your data there, and the transition over to Pulse at that point is going to be pretty straightforward and quick and easy. And you're halfway there in terms of how to use the system, because the overarching logic in terms of the schema and the database structure and the lexicon and how we do things is going to pretty much be the same. So you'll be way ahead of the game if you're using MaidCentral before Pulse comes out. So if you aren't using MaidCentral, please go to our website, maidcentral.com, ask for a demo. Be glad to show it to you.
Yeah, and I mean, the sooner that you start getting data, the more useful things like MaidSense AI are going to be. The more data that it has, the better insights it's able to provide. So just throwing that little extra tidbit in there as well.
Angela, thank you for joining us. Kurt, yes, you can go to our YouTube channel for MaidCentral. If you haven't subscribed, please do. That helps Aja with her influencer status.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Beth. Thanks.
We love having you, Beth, so much.
TC, thanks for being here. Are we ready to call this a wrap, Aja?
I think so.
Okay. Well, we're done for the moment, but next Wednesday, same time and channel.
Yes, sir.
That's 1 o'clock Eastern, right?
That it is.
Okay. So we'll see you next week. Thanks so much. Till then, take care. Bye bye.
Bye, y'all.